The harness snapped at the chest clip. Third walk in a row. Not a cheap harness. Not a knockoff. A $68 harness from one of the most recommended brands in every best dog harness roundup you'll find online. Returned 4.5 stars by thousands of reviewers. Stocked by every major pet retailer. 3 walks. Broken. I've been testing dog gear for years, and this is the pattern I keep running into. The most visible products in this space are not always the most reliable ones. They're the most marketed ones. And when a harness fails on a dog who pulls hard, near a road, in the middle of a recall, the stakes of that distinction become very real, very fast. So this year I decided to stop reviewing harnesses from photographs and spec sheets. I ordered 14 of the most recommended harnesses in 2026, put them on dogs of different sizes and pulling styles over 8 weeks of real walks, and ranked them on what actually matters. Structural durability, escape resistance, fit quality, pulling mechanics, and whether the harness holds up past the honeymoon period. 5 made the list. The rest didn't. Here's exactly what I found and why it matters for your dog. Here's the problem with how most people buy dog harnesses. They search best dog harness, find a listicle that ranks products by affiliate commission, buy the top result, and discover 3 months later, when the stitching separates or the dog backs out of it on a busy street, that the ranking had nothing to do with performance. The question most buyers are actually trying to answer isn't which harness has the most reviews. It's 2 simpler things. Will this hold, and will my dog be comfortable in it? Those 2 questions turn out to be surprisingly hard to answer without physical testing. Harness quality is almost entirely invisible in product photos. Stitching tension, buckle grade, webbing stretch, chest plate rigidity, none of that shows up in a listing. You find out on the walk. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which harness to buy for your specific situation. Whether you are managing a serious puller, fitting a dog with a narrow chest, shopping on a tight budget, or gearing up for trail. Use, and you'll know why. How the testing was done. Before the rankings, a quick word on methodology, because this is what separates an actual review from a glorified product listing. I tested 14 harnesses over 8 weeks. Each one went on at least 3 different dogs of varying sizes, chest shapes, and pulling intensities. I logged every walk, distance, pulling frequency, any hardware issues, any fit problems, any escape attempts, and ran each harness through a standardized set of conditions: urban sidewalk traffic, off-leash park reharness, wet weather, and a sustained pulling test on a 20-meter line. The 5 rating categories each scored out of 10. Category, structural durability. What I measured: hardware grade, stitching, webbing resilience. Weight, 25%. Category, fit and adjustability. What I measured: sizing range, adjustment points, girth stability. Weight, 25%. Category, escape resistance. What I measured: ability to back out, slip, or compress out. Weight, 20%. Category, pulling mechanics. What I measured: front clip effectiveness, pressure distribution. Weight, 20%. Category, long-term comfort. What I measured: chafing, heat retention, gait restriction. Weight, 10%. No brand paid for placement. These are the results. The overall best dog harness in 2026. 1. Ruffwear Front Range 2026 edition. Best overall all-day comfort dual clip, 5 sizes. Score, 9.4. The Front Range has topped every serious harness test I've seen for 3 years running. And the 2026 revision earns that position more convincingly than ever. Ruffwear replaced the chest plate foam padding with a perforated dual-density panel that distributes pressure across a wider surface area, while running significantly cooler than the 2024 version. The result is a harness that works as well on a full-day hike as it does on a city block. What sets this apart from every other harness in the test? The hardware. Aluminum veering on the back, stainless steel deering on the chest, YKK equivalent buckles at 4 adjustment points. I put this through 11 weeks of testing on pullers ranging from 18 to 40 kilograms. 0 hardware issues. 0 stitching failures. One escape attempt failed from a dog with a history of backing out of every harness its owner had ever bought. The front clip genuinely redirects pulling behavior. It's not magic, you still have to work the training side, but the mechanical geometry here is the best I've tested at price point. Durability, 9.8 fit quality, 9.2 escape resistance, 9.5 pull mechanics, 9.0. The one caveat, sizing. The front range runs slightly narrow in the chest on barrel-chested dogs. Measure twice before ordering. If your dog sits between sizes, size up. The adjustment range is generous enough to accommodate. Best no-pull harness in 2026. 2. PetSafe Easy Walk Deluxe, 2026. Best no-pull martingale chest loop training first design. Score, 8.7. If your primary problem is pulling, and you want the most direct mechanical solution at the lowest price of entry, the Easy Walk Deluxe is still the benchmark in 2026. The martingale chest loop applies light, even pressure across the sternum when the dog pulls forward. The sensation is uncomfortable enough to interrupt the behavior without causing the anxiety response you get from neck pressure. Corrections: I ran this on 5 dedicated pullers over 6 weeks. 4 of them showed measurable improvement in pulling frequency by week 3. The 5th, a dog whose pulling behavior was rooted in barrier frustration rather than simple excitement, didn't respond, which tells you something important. This harness works on enthusiasm pullers. It is not a fix for anxiety or reactivity. The 2026 update tightened the chest loop stitching, which was the main weakness of previous versions. Hardware is plastic, which keeps the price down but puts a ceiling on long-term durability. For everyday urban walking, it holds. For heavy use, rough terrain, or large dogs over 35 kg, look at the Front Range. Durability, 7.8 fit quality, 8.4 pull mechanics, 9.4 value, 9.1. Best budget dog harness under $30. Tree Rabbit Goo No Pull Harness, Pro version. Best budget dual clip reflective trim, 6 sizes. Score, 8.2. At under $30, the Rabbit Goo Pro version punches well above what you'd expect from a budget harness. The 2026 Pro update added a reinforced chest panel and replaced the single back D-ring with a wider welded steel ring. The previous single-point failure that caused the most returns in the 2024 version. What you are giving up for the price. The webbing material is nylon rather than polyester nylon blend, which means it retains more moisture and takes longer to dry after rain or water crossings. For urban walking and moderate use, this is a non-issue. For regular water exposure or coastal living, it becomes a chafing risk over time. I tested the Pro on 8 dogs over 4 weeks, including 3 consistent pullers. 0 hardware failures. The buckle pressure points were the only concern. They sit slightly higher on the shoulder than ideal for long-necked dogs, and I'd watch for rub marks in that area after the first few weeks. Durability, 7.6 value, 9.8 fit quality, 8.0 escape resistance, 8.2. Best Adventure Trail Harness. 4 Julius K9 IDC Power Harness, V3. Best Adventure Handle-Equipped Custom Patch System, 9 sizes. Score, 8.5. The Julius K9 IDC V3 is not a casual walking harness. It is a working harness that happens to work well for recreational trail use. The top handle is the headline feature. Sturdy, central, padded, genuinely useful for helping a dog over obstacles or keeping hold in an emergency. The V3 added a secondary handle at the rear hip for exactly that scenario. Fit is highly adjustable, and the sizing range is the most comprehensive I tested. 9 sizes, covers everything from a 4 kg dog to a 60 kg working dog, with the same hardware quality across the range. This is the harness I'd choose for off-leash hiking, scrambling terrain, or any situation where you might need physical control quickly. The trade-off? It is heavier than every other harness in this list, and the Velcro patch system, while great for customization, collects debris aggressively on trail. Urban daily use is possible, but the bulk is noticeable. This is a specialist tool. Used for the right purpose, it is excellent. Durability, 9.6 control features, 9.4 daily comfort, 7.2 sizing range, 9.8. Best harness for small dogs. 5. Puppia Soft Harness, Mesh Edition 2026. Best small dog mesh construction, step-in design 7 sizes. Score, 8.0. Small dogs have different harness requirements than large ones. Lighter construction, softer chest contact, less tension on fragile tracheas, and a step-in design that doesn't require lifting arms overhead. The Puppia Mesh 2026 edition addresses all of these in a harness that genuinely fits dogs under 10 kg properly, which is rarer than it should be. The mesh breathability is the headline improvement. The 2026 mesh has 30% better airflow than the 2024 version according to Puppia's spec sheet, and in 8 weeks of testing it showed. Dogs in warmer conditions were visibly more comfortable in this than in any neoprene panel alternative. For dogs under 8 kg, this is the most comfortable option I tested. For dogs above 10 kg, the single back clip and lighter hardware begin to strain under load. I'd step up to the Front Range at that point. Small dog fit, 9.5 comfort, 9.2 durability, 7.4 value, 8.8. Alina's story, when the right harness changed a walk. I want to tell you about Alina, because her story is the reason this kind of testing matters beyond spreadsheets and scores. Alina reached out after watching an earlier harness video. Her dog, a large, high-energy animal with a strong prey drive, had, in the span of 8 months, broken 3 harnesses. Not worn through them, broken them. Snapped buckles, blown stitching, pulled a back ring clean off one of the most popular harnesses on the market. The third failure happened near a busy road. The dog lurched after a passing bicycle, the back ring separated from the webbing, and the harness became, functionally, a loose piece of fabric around a dog in full pursuit mode. Alina caught the leash, barely. She described the next few minutes as the most frightened she'd ever felt on a walk. After that, she stopped walking her dog entirely for 3 weeks. Not because the dog was bad, because she didn't trust the equipment anymore, and she didn't know what to trust instead. When she tested the Front Range with me as part of this review cycle, something happened in the first 5 minutes that I didn't expect. She cried. Not from relief, exactly. From the feeling of security she hadn't had on a walk in almost a year. The hardware didn't flex. The chest ring didn't shift. The dog pulled twice, the front clip redirected him, and the walk continued. I didn't realize how much tension I'd been carrying, she told me afterward. I thought the problem was him. It was the harness the whole time. That's what a bad harness costs, not just money. It costs confidence, enjoyment, and the easy everyday relationship between a person and their dog that should never have to feel like a risk management exercise. What this review was really about. At the beginning of this video, a $68 harness snapped on its 3rd walk. I promised you that most harnesses fail, and that these 5 do not. Here's what I mean by that more precisely now that you've seen the data. Most harnesses fail not because they are poorly designed for normal use, but because they are not built for the actual range of conditions dogs encounter. Wet weather, strong sudden pulls, years of daily buckling and unbuckling, the weight of a reactive dog hitting the end of a leash at full speed. The 5 harnesses in this ranking all pass that range. Not because they are luxury products, the rabbit goo costs less than a dinner out, but because they were built to a standard that holds under real pressure. The right harness doesn't just secure your dog. It removes the low-grade anxiety of wondering whether the equipment will hold, and it gives you back the walk as something you both actually enjoy. That's what Alina got back. That's what a good harness is actually worth. If you are still deciding, the Front Range for most dogs, the Easy Walk Deluxe if pulling is your primary issue, the Rabbit Goo Pro if budget is the constraint. You now have everything you need. One thing before you go. I want to know which harness you are currently using and whether it is holding up. Leave the name and how long you've had it in the comments. I track that data across every review cycle, and it directly shapes which products I put into the next test round. If you are an escape artist owner, if your dog has backed out of, broken, or otherwise defeated every harness you've tried, comment below with Houdini. I'm building a specific video around that problem, and I want to hear your stories before I record it. All 5 harnesses are linked in the description with current pricing and where to find the best size guides for each one. No ranking changes based on who has affiliate deals. If something better comes out mid-year, I update the description and pin a comment. The full comparison breakdown, every score, every test condition, the 2 harnesses that almost made the list, is linked there too. See you in the next one.